Hello.
Welcome, Graham, and welcome, Anthony.
Turned into a symbol. I can see a symbol. It's like you've turned into Prince.
Yeah, that went well for Prince, didn't it?
Well, yeah. He eventually sort of won. It took him a while.
So, Graham, we are looking forward to our annual reason why we call the podcast Two Big Egos in a Small Car, because we shall be getting in that small car to head to the Edinburgh Film Festival, International Film Festival, no less. The 77th such iteration of this esteemed festival. We're heading up a little bit earlier than when it starts on the 13th. I'm going to be there till the 19th. And no doubt we'll reflect on it in the next one as well. But this is something that looks very joyful this time round, Graham. It's got good vibes around it, hasn't it, this time?
Well, yeah, we may be sitting 200 miles from Edinburgh, but I can feel the buzz about
Mm.
this year's film festival quite clearly. And I
Mm.
haven't felt a buzz about the Edinburgh Film Festivals, very sadly, for a
Mm.
long time now. I
Mm.
mean, you and me have been going together every year since the very late 1980s,
Exactly.
and I've been
Mm.
going since the early 80s.
Mm.
And it's been we've persevered because we love it, but it's had such tough times, not just like the last couple of years, but the last 10 years at least.
Mm.
And
Mm.
this is the first time I've felt that what it's doing is spot on.
Mm.
And it's fizzing with good ideas as well as famous filmmakers turning up in person.
Mm.
So I can't wait.
And of course, I always feel happier when a film festival in Edinburgh is alongside the Fringe Festival, alongside the Book Festival, and alongside the Edinburgh International Festival itself. And it just adds to the sense of excitement in the city. It is the place to be at this stage in August, and I think the
Mm.
film festival is all the better for catching that wave as well. And
Yeah, well, one of the things that the new director Paul Ridd, he's
mm,
got a lot of experience in the film industry, even though he's not very far from being an old bloke. One of the
mm,
things he's very keen in doing is he's linking the festival to the Fringe, and he's actually promoting the film festival as being part of Edinburgh in August, part of the official festival, part
mm,
of the Fringe. He says, why should people come along to Edinburgh in August to see comedy or a stage play
yeah,
or music and not come to see the film festival? It's
mm,
part of the whole thing. And of course, it is because it was formed the same year that the International Festival was first
yeah,
formed,
yeah.
1947. So it should be seen that way. So is Paul Rudd seems to have all the right ideas as how to revive the film festival and bring it back to its glory days.
Well, it strikes me it's the perfect balance. I mean, we've always enjoyed. Obviously, we tend to max out on films, but we've always liked to take in fringe shows as well. And even in past times, we've even taken in classical concerts as well as part of the main festival. Um, and I think that's absolutely right on the director's part. You know, of course, it should be seen as part of that film as important an art form. And for all those who thought, oh, well, film will have its day, absolutely not. It's as popular as ever, and maybe it's spread out more in the ways that people watch films now. Um, but in the blockbuster season, they still go to the big multiplexes. Obviously, in the world of Netflix, etc., we see films in that situation as well. But at the heart of it, if a films festival is this promotion both of new ideas, maybe new ideas about old films, but also promoting new films as well. That's exactly the same principle of a fringe festival promoting new talent and new shows by existing talent. So it completely fits in with that, a combination of established names and new groundbreaking artists at work. And the film festival has always had that championing spirit as well, spotting new talent as well as highlighting the great works of past directors. And so it fits in entirely with being part of the August scene. I think when the film festival was just on its own, I'm not saying people ignored it in Edinburgh, but I think when it's part of the whole scene, you notice it more. You are
Well,
aware.
yeah, when it was in June, what happened straight away was that the national press, you all used to come up, all the major film critics like Derek Malcolm and Philip French, who used to come up every year to the film festival in August. When it moved to June, you didn't get any. You scarcely saw the film critics in London come up. So yeah, it was a disaster moving it to June. So being back in August, as has been for the last couple of years, is obviously a major step forward. But it needs more than that. I mean, the film festival has to get back its excitement and its ideas and its bit of glitter and glam, as well as being, experimental and innovative. And I think it's happening. I mean, for example, just for a bit of fun, as well as the midnight horror stream strand it's got on, it's showing Danny Boyle's classic 28 Days Later on the Sunday night, August 18th at 1 a.m. It's showing it at Summerhall, that great art centre, which had been threatened with closure, but has now just recently been saved, which is good news.
So that's
and
another
they're having
venue
a
that's been
keynote
saved.
speech.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, it's all good news from Edinburgh. But as well as director Alex Garland doing a keynote speech in the company of Andrew McDonald, the great film producer, which I think is taking place at Tollcross Central Hall rather than Cameo. Most film festivals. So again, it's like branching out into different venues across Edinburgh to integrate it into the city, rather than being like in its cinematic bunker.
That word bunker is a very good word for it, Graham, because it did get to feel like that. And nothing against the multiplex's involvement in the film festival, but a long trudge out to a multiplex and then back again into the city centre was not necessarily an ideal scenario, I think, as well. It was quite easy for the film festival to be seen as out of view, as it were, and out of sight, and that wasn't ideal, I don't think. I think it's better we know that the Cameo is going to have a much more significant part in it, and so it should, because part of the joy for me of going out to Edinburgh is going to cinemas that I love, of which the Cameo is absolutely one of those. And the cinema going experience should be a little bit different. Should feel different. That's nothing against the importance of multiplexes, but it seems to me that a film festival, if it's got tradition about it as well as new, then it's very important to have a place like the Cameo, which just steeped in film history, has that wonderful sense of it's entirely built for the old-fashioned pleasure of going to the cinema in the way that people used to do in their millions in the 1930s to the 1950s.
Last year when it was at the Everyman, which is a perfectly good cinema chain, and Cineworld, when it was there in the shadow of Edinburgh Playhouse, it felt like a tiny little world of its own that the rest of Edinburgh had absolutely no knowledge of or interest in. So it really had to change, and thank goodness this year it certainly has changed.
I think it's still one of the significant things is getting the choice of director right. It makes a huge difference. I mean, we've championed the likes of Mark Cousins in the past and the work that he did, and that's the ideal level of achievement by a director. And so this obviously seems to be a very strong appointment for this year's festival, and you can see the immediate impact of a visionary director, which a festival needs. It's a statement of the obvious, that, but it's the same. It applies to when a new voice takes over a theatre company, and maybe takes it in a new and exciting way. And that's the expectation when a new artistic director is appointed, be it at Sheffield Crucible over the years, where they've made fantastic decisions time after time there, and it's had a huge impact on Yorkshire theatre going. And that's what you need. You need a director to have a sense of an individual voice, but also a sense of what's going to pull diverse people in and what's going to make this festival stand out from others.
Well, yeah, I mean, this year you got Alex Garland, Andrew McDonald, Thelma Schoonmaker, Gaspar Noé, Damien Lewis, Kelly MacDonald, Mark Cousins. These are all people turning up in person for the film festival. So it's got a buzz. It's got a little bit of glamour as well as a serious intent.
Yeah. So we're going to be there for how many days of the festival are we there for then, Graham?
I think we're there for 6.
6. Okay, well, that'll be a good spread of what we can see. Yeah,
Yeah.
and well, obviously we'll update listeners on what we've experienced, and I think hopefully we might catch some fringe shows as well while we're there. So, Graham, I think it's time for an interruption, if you may. Surprise me with something.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Well, I think there's a great exhibition just started in Harrogate at Red House uh, Gallery on Cheltenham Mount, and that's the place that it does contemporary art, but from a
Yeah.
cool sort of street art, pop art aspect. And it's had in-person appearances from the likes of Sir Peter Blake, the
Yeah.
Coral, that great Liverpudlian band, Jim Neuer, aka Vic Reeves.
Yeah.
And it's a sort of place where you quite often get a lot of new or recent art by
Mm.
considerable figures in the street art world who
Mm.
used to be snowboarders or skateboarders or
Yeah.
surfers or all
Yeah.
three. And this is a Harrogate gallery.
Mm.
So it's quite extraordinary. So I went to see the launch of a new exhibition by Dan Baldwin, a Yorkshire-born artist. And it's his first solo exhibition in the North for nearly 20 years. And
Huh?
it's in Harrogate Red House. And it's a
Mm.
great exhibition because he does that sort of like mix of pop art and a little bit of street art.
Yeah.
But his subject matter is related to nature and to sort of rural landscapes. So you get a sort of strange effect of a sort of like psychedelic rural landscape when you're looking at it.
Mm.
And it's all bright and colourful and well balanced. So it's almost a perfect exhibition for summer. It feel when you look at his paintings and
Yeah.
his prints, they look like summer on a canvas. So it's a really
Mm.
great exhibition. It's well worth going to see that exhibition by Dan Baldwin.
I not an artist. I've got to hold my hands up, Graham. Not an artist I know.
Mm-mm. Well, Red House art is a sort of art that if you hang it on your wall at home, it's never depressing. They don't do,
Yeah.
it's not that they don't have anything dark on their walls ever, but
No.
in general, they don't do negative art, they don't do sinister art, they don't do depressing art. It's always full of life, full of colour, and very positive. And Dan Baldwin obviously does that
Mm.
a lot. So he's
Okay,
a
well,
perfect.
yeah, that's true, isn't it, Graham? If one thinks back to the Beatles exhibition earlier this year, that was absolutely positive in every way.
Well, I think it comes from
The colors that were chosen, which gives the Beatles at their most psychedelic.
well, the
Yeah,
gallery owner, Rich McTague, is a very positive guy,
yeah.
very
Except when it comes
upbeat,
to supporting Leeds United, but there we go.
and he's very modern and very much into his music. So it all comes out in exhibitions, and that's why it's such a great gallery, despite the fact it's only a small gallery.
And when Jared Mankiewicz regularly
That's
exhibited
right,
there,
yeah.
of course. And do you remember how, I mean, originally that were black and white were suddenly turned into color works? So there again, something even more positive when he did that with his works to exhibit them in Harrogate.
Well, yeah, he's turned up in person at least twice, and Harrogate
Yeah,
possibly three times.
yeah.
I've interviewed him several times as well in Harrogate, and of course he's taken all the great photographs of the Rolling Stones and
Mm.
Oasis and
Jimi
Kate
Hendrix,
Bush and the Jam and Jimi Hendrix. So the
Kate
guy's a
Bush.
legend,
Mm. Mm.
music photographer legend, and a really nice
Mm.
guy.
Mm. And again, that's why this is such a wonderful gallery, because it brings to Harrogate, well, frankly, work that wouldn't otherwise come to Harrogate.
That's true. It is the
Mm.
coolest place in Harrogate.
Yeah. No, it's only the coolest places, Graham, is when you turn up wherever you go. Then we know it's suddenly got a certain sang-froid about it.
Yeah, well
So,
said, Charles. I'm not going to argue
so
with you.
I thought this is a slightly left field one for discussion tonight. Talking of trying to be cool. So York has introduced what's called the York Purple signs. And in the past, we've had guides for stags and hens in York under the Hospitality Code of Conduct, including
Oh, yeah.
no offensive inflatables. We've had
You mean no blow up willies?
Graham, I think it's certainly usually blow up dolls of some sort that we're referring
I've
to.
hit the nail on the head there, Charles.
If you did that too hard, you'd burst them, I think. And then cards for buskers to prevent the theft of microphones. Which anyway, this latest campaign is splashed all over the city. You can't move for seeing these posters around York now, and probably less controversial maybe than the misappropriation of Gerrit int bin that's caused such controversy for North Yorkshire Council.
That
Which
sounds
actually,
terrible.
frankly, I would suggest that all they did with that is get it in bin would be the perfect thing to do with that with that pathetic attempt to play to Yorkshireness. So the purple signs are trying to, as ever, establish behavioural patterns for those who come to the city, and maybe also those who are in the city as well. Who, I mean, it's all really in relation to drink. Let's be honest. So, Graham, this is the first sign.
Oh yeah.
Go steady. We've got enough history.
What? That's rubbish.
And is that, see, I couldn't quite work that one out. Is that suggesting that someone falls into the River Ouse if they get smashed and then they become history? So that was the one I couldn't quite work out what it meant.
Well, first of all, you've got to guess that it means go steady means not drinking too much. Well,
Yeah.
try to tell someone who's already been to the pub in York and has spotted the sign that they've now got to like not drink as much is it's never going to work. And secondly, does it imply that you need to like not drink too much on your bar crawl? Almost a contradiction in terms, because otherwise you'll end up as history. I think
that's what it's saying.
Really? Well, that
so I didn't think that was a winner. Anyway, number two.
No.
Number two.
It's not a winner, Charles. It should be a binner.
It should be. It should be a binner. It's not a chicken dinner. That one. Respect your bar staff and taxi drivers. Are you ready for the punch here? Give
not a punchline.
Gratitude, not attitude.
It's okay. Yeah. I quite liked respect. You know, your bar staff and your taxi driver. That was enough for me because that's a good line. It's like you should respect them. But the punchline's obviously
not attitude.
Grown worthy.
It's all a bit worthy, isn't it?
It's all a bit. You and me had if you and me been given the £1,000 or £10,000, wherever it costs to come up with those slogans, we would have thought.
I suspect more, Graham. Usually it's ridiculous money to be made.
We could have come up with those particular ideas, which aren't very good or difficult to think of, in about 5 minutes, and then gone home all the money.
When they came up with York Living with History, I think that one cost 25,000 to come up with, and that was years ago.
God, just give someone enough money to buy a couple of rounds of drinks in the pub. Make sure they make notes of what they've said, and then you've got your campaign.
Now, are you ready for number 3?
Okay.
Hold it. It's not a place to pee.
What? I take it this is about peeing in the street because York's always had an element.
York is full of steaming people in doing exactly that. Hold it, obviously.
Hold it. Is that an anatomical reference towards men?
It's an anatomical reference.
Yeah. But the thing is, I once saw women out on a night peeing in a side street in York quite a long time ago. Yes. So hold it, I'm assuming isn't meant to be just for men, it's meant to be both sexes. But it has a slightly unfortunate connotation.
I just feel signs like this, it's all a bit desperate.
Don't say desperate. That's what they want to try to
obviously that's the hold it scenario. Why they're desperate, and that's why they can't hold it, as it says.
You can't blame them for wanting to do this. So I don't even want to do that. But you can't blame the council for wanting to crack down on bad behaviour in public, because it's not nice coming across that sort of behaviour.
Okay, but Graham, do you think it's going to have any influence at all? Seriously, will signs like this have any influence?
No, not with the cheesy lines. No, I think simple statements would have. If anything was going to work at all, and nothing, it may be that nothing would work anyway. If anything was going to work, a sign with a simple message with no cheesiness or supposed cleverness or any puns would have been better, I think.
I mean, you know, it is playing to this idea of trying to be funny with it. But I mean, there's always this catch-22. There's a serious intent behind it, but they want to do it with humour. But it's not. But it doesn't strike me as being particularly funny, and not funny enough, and not memorable enough.
If you've had too much wine, please read this sign.
But you need another line, Graham, to go with that.
No, I think that's enough. It's equally as bad as what the council went with.
I mean, I just think it's one of these impossible situations. People come to York to drink.
Yeah, it's a bit like please drink responsibly on adverts for
It's just, yeah, please bet
bottles of vodka.
responsibly, please drink responsibly. It's all utter nonsense.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
So it got me thinking, Graham,
Okay.
uh, what purple signs could we serve Harrogate with?
Uh, I don't know. Don't be snobby. Talk to a bobby.
Snobby talk to a Bobby.
I don't even know what that
Does
means.
anyone still use the name Bobby for a policeman? Has anybody seen a Bobby?
PC plod. Now, no one uses that sort of language anymore.
So, I mean, I could not imagine a scheme like this in Harrogate.
No, just be. It looks stupid. I don't think the Northwich Council wouldn't try that in the first place because they'd know it was a bit silly.
So why does York try it?
I think, although as you know, York's a city, it's always felt to me like a small town
Yeah,
in some regards.
that's what people
And I
like
think
about it. That's why they feel
yeah, I
they can
think,
take it
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Mm,
So I think the city council acts like a town council sometimes. It's
mm.
so close to the ground, it gets over emotional about the city and doesn't quite always think rationally.
I mean, the catch-22 in all this is that York's economy needs tourists, including
Well, it needs hen parties as well,
not
yeah.
yeah, and hen parties and stag parties. It needs all that, and of course, so actually does footfall is needed by theatres, um, by comedy venues. They all, not just local trade. They want they want visitors as well to be coming to the city. So, but when really it all seems to add up more than anything in York to drink is perhaps where the problem starts and ends.
Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't be a town with lots and lots of bars,
More, yeah,
which is very attractive to hen parties and stag
of course.
weekends, and then expect completely perfect behavior the whole time. The two things don't go together.
I don't know.
But if you're going to really try and reduce the number of hen parties or
Mm.
stag do's happening, a bit like Venice is trying to get to grips with too much tourism. If
It's
you're really
not
going
going
to
to
try
happen.
and get to
Graham, it's
grips
not
with
going to
it,
happen, is it?
the only way to get grips with it is to actually put off tourists, put off visitors, put off hen parties,
Mm.
put off stag do's. But then you're almost cutting off your nose to spite your face
And,
because
and,
the businesses
and
will make less money and the town will be less busy.
yeah,
It's very difficult to have it both ways.
yeah. I mean, I think the reality remains, Graham, that it's a place that people love coming to. They have a great time when they come. Whether residents like it quite as much at the weekend as visitors is up for debate. Um, but I'm not convinced that a campaign like the Purple Signs is really going to make any much of a
I would have
difference to anyone who
favoured a
comes to have a good
respect
time.
campaign, and I know respect's an overused word these days when it comes to
Yeah.
football and various other
Yes.
social
Mhm.
messages. But I think respect is what you really want from stag weekends and hen
Yeah.
parties and tourists. You want a little bit of respect for
Mm.
the people and the environment, and I think the message should have been built on respect.
Yeah, you could have had Kevin Rowland singing it and just
Mm-hmm.
championing it around York. So there we go, Graham. My feelings are I can see why they attempt to do something like this, but I think there'll be another attempt coming along uh, some way down the line because there's been previous attempts before with these guidelines, and I think it'll just keep happening because ultimately everything equals having another drink in York.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Since the days of railways and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
19th century, or probably before that, quite frankly, Dick Turpin. Let's go back. Let's
Yeah,
go back.
I mean, York, I think, had a pub for every day of the week at one point.
Yes, and
No,
people
sorry,
went in one every
sorry,
day of the week.
a pub for every day of the year. Forgive me, they had a pub for every day of the year at one point,
Yeah.
which is extraordinary. But I think that was the case, and
Mm-hmm.
that tells you how much it's always played a part in the York economy. So, Graham, looking beyond the summer of festivals, with Leeds Festival coming up on the horizon, and when the festival season ends, this weekend has been the last ever, potentially the last ever anyway, underneath the Stars Festival. Kate Rusby and Emma Hollings festival, the folk festival near Barnsley. So we're looking ahead really to autumn time, and past this autumn time to be getting excited about is you're going to be having some of your talking events coming up in the autumn. Who better to talk about your talking events and to talk about it right now than Graham?
I'm talking about me. Yeah.
You're talking
Well,
about
first of all,
music, Graham.
Vinyl Sessions Classic Rock Albums is coming back to raise money for Harrogate Hospital charity.
Yeah.
And the last one was REM, which is very successful, held at Sterling Cafe Bar in Harrogate. And it's coming back on Wednesday, September the 4th. And I've got a tough task this time because I love REM. Great band. But they weren't that interesting beyond the music. But this theme for the next final session in September is the Police. Not the Police as in Bobby's.
Good timing, Graham. Good
Band
timing. Because Synchronicity is just being issued in a six CD version of Synchronicity.
I know that. I struggle with the Police because a bit like I've never bought a Coldplay album. It's just something holds me back, even though I can see the merit of Coldplay. The Police were the same way. I could see the merit of the Police, but I just couldn't buy myself to buy an album. So I've got to talk about the Police. So I bought the new version of Synchronicity with the extra tracks. And I have to tell you that it is an interesting album. And it's got some artistic merit, and it's got some great tunes.
It almost didn't get made.
Yeah, I know that the band weren't getting.
They weren't having a great time. They weren't having a great time together.
Yeah,
but then they were always argumentative. Three very different characters pulling in different directions.
It's the usual thing. What made them a great band also made it hard for them to be in the same room together with music. It's the same old story. But the interesting thing I've learned by researching the Police is that of all the least interesting, biggest bands on the planet, I think the Police may be amongst the most interesting or the least interesting, if you know what I mean.
The most interesting of the least interesting.
The least interesting, yeah. They're more interesting than I thought they were going to be. They're more interesting than Coldplay. I can't imagine talking about Coldplay. And I hope I never have to do so.
No, I mean, Coldplay really belong in a warm place.
Yeah. But they haven't got a warm place in my heart, so... But that's not the only event I mean.
They're a tepidly warm place, Graham. That's what Coldplay are. They're not really that cold. They're just tepidly warm.
Exactly. Not bad. Bit lukewarm. But moving on very swiftly, there's another potential talking event involving me coming up in the autumn with the music author, Rob Chapman.
Now what's that event going to be, Graham?
Well, he's written some great books in the past, which have been big hits. Syd Barrett and A Regular Head.
Yeah.
Psychedelia and Other Colours. His latest book is fantastic, called Unsung, Unsaid. And it's a mix of fact and fiction about Syd Barrett and Nick Drake. And in real life, they never met. But in Rob's fantastic new book, they meet together and their paths cross. And he uses it as a way to explore what they were like as people and what their music meant. And it's quite a brilliant book. So he's talking about coming across to Harrogate to do a talk about the book with me at some point in autumn, although it's not been firmed up yet. So I'm not getting super excited till that happens.
No. There's a new book of interest potentially. I think is Benjamin Myers. Does that name ring a bell?
It rings a bell, but I don't know why.
Well, so his. Let's see if I got his name right. And it's he's done a series of, I think there was a book called Cuddy was his last book, and the new book is called Rare Singles. Cuddy was the last one. The new one is called Rare Singles. He's from Durham, but apparently, but his latest book it features Scarborough heavily. And that's not often the case.
It certainly isn't.
I'm getting my tickling throat back again. This is doing my...
I can tell.
Drinking water. This is a fortnight of tickling throat. So anyway, so Rare Singles. The reason I'm whispering on about this is that potentially I think it might be interesting to have a look at this book for a future episode. And because, yes, Cuddy was his award winning. He did one called The Gallows Pole.
Yeah, I've heard of that, yeah. Obviously.
Which is connected with Shane Meadows, obviously.
Oh, yeah, great series, yeah.
I'm going to cough again. How on? Anyway, so this new book, Rare Singles, is out this month. And so maybe, I know I'm waffling at this point, But I think potentially that could be an interesting one as well, Graham. I'm suggesting
We
maybe
should,
you know,
we should
maybe you should try
definitely
to
talk
fix
about
up
that.
having an interview with him as well in
That,
Harrogate.
yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea, or at least get him on the show, on the podcast.
So I think, Graham, we've got actually not clear. I don't know how long we've got left. It's not clear really.
I've got a final interruption.
Oh well, let's go
This
with
is
that
about
then, because I've no
this is
idea how
about
many
the
minutes we've got left, Graham. So
this is
let's
about
go
the
with a
history
final
of rock and roll. If you think that we're rock and roll's now in the past and rock history is too old and we're too old, here's a quote from Bob Dylan, and I'll let you try and guess the year that he said this. Bob Dylan said, I think this is from the Melody Maker, "Who is around these days? The Rolling Stones? Who else has come through? Mick Jagger and Keith Richards have come through the same fire that I've come through. Who else is there? Jerry Goffin, Lieber and Stoller." So he's talking about, he says, when it comes down to it, says Bob Dylan, it's a question of how much of it you can stand. How much can you stick it out? So this is him talking about the whole journey of rock and roll and how old it is and how hard it is to stay the course. Try and guess what year Bob Dylan said that.
I think 60s.
No, that's too early. Well, obviously.
I think he said it in 2021.
No, 1978. So 1978, which is a long time ago now, Bob Dylan was already looking back, saying how old rock music was and how hard it was to actually keep on going in the rock world. 1978.
Well, he's probably proven wrong.
Well, yeah, because he himself is still touring on his never-ending tour and still
it's
enjoying
still never-ending
albums.
I mean, don't forget that famous Michael Parkinson early interview with Mick Jagger, where he asked Mick Jagger how long does he expect the Stones to last, and he says another 6 months. So
yeah, but Bob Dylan was.
I think these things are really difficult to judge. Even in 1978, I think it's difficult to judge.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
why didn't he just stop then? If you know, if he felt that, why didn't he stop? What kept him going?
That's the glory of rock and roll. The fact
exactly, Graham.
So
Exactly
even though
that.
rock and roll was already feeling old by 1978, it kept on going and kept on producing great bands. And to an extent, although to a lesser extent, it still is the glory of rock and roll.
You've been listening to the podcast Two Big Egos in a Small Car. Your hosts were Graham Chalmers and Charles Hutchinson. This was a Baltic sub-production.